Welcome to the Legendary Leadership Summit 2019 with Cody, Dakota, Wooten.
And Jonathan, he's the founder of JB Financial, Phoenix Renaissance Orchestra, and he's the Tax Tiger Consulting Inc. founder as well. He's a certified tax coach. And now I know you're wondering, what does a tax coach have to do with legendary leadership? That's what we're going to be talking about today. He's also IRS enrolled agent, and he's the chief tax strategist as well. And for over 15 years, he's as a CTS, he created multi-six-figure business. That's right, multi-six-figure business, which many people hope to just create one six-figure business. He's done multi-six figures. He's created jobs and saved hundreds of thousands of dollars for his clients. What that means is he's doing something correct, and he is helping a lot of people. And I know there are many people who need help with their taxes. So Jonathan, welcome to the Legendary Leadership Summit.
Hey, Cody, thank you for that. Was a great introduction, man. Yeah, absolutely. So what if I started telling you and your audience this first question I have for everybody? Are you ready?
Hold on. Wait. Okay, I'm ready.
Checking. All right. What if I told you that the IRS does not want your money? Would you believe me?
No, I wouldn't believe you because I think the government really wants my money.
Right. Everyone believes this, right? Like everyone fundamentally believes this. And don't get me wrong, there's a couple things they want, but for the most part, they do not want your money, especially if you're an entrepreneur, and that's what matters the most.
Interesting. Now you have to tell me more because I'm an entrepreneur. I think the government wants my money and I want to keep my money.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. So first things first is that you're absolutely correct. So yeah, I am the founder of JB Financial, which was born of a dream I had at the age of 12 years old when I wanted to play the violin. My mother could not afford it. She actually sacrificed about a week or two worth of like protein, so chicken and meat. Think of that, how expensive it is. She sacrificed it so I could take one violin lesson. And by doing so, I was able to get me one violin tutor for 1 hour. And in that moment, I asked her, do you have a backyard? And she said, yes. And so immediately I said, can I clean your backyard in exchange for violin lessons? And she said, yes. So if you can really think about it, my first customer I acquired at the age of 12 in exchange for violin lessons. And what that bloomed into was a multi-six-figure company today.
That is phenomenal. And it's awesome to see that what seemed like such a small thing has grown into something exceptionally larger.
Yeah, and then it gets even better. So a year ago, I was like, I want to play with a group of people just to play music, string instruments particularly, where we're in a judge-free zone. Over 30, life got in the way, and you want to reconnect. And so a year ago, I ended up meeting a gentleman named Achilles Figueroa, and we created the Phoenix Renaissance Orchestra here in town, here in Phoenix, where you can come and play just because you want to, no skill set required, just as long as you can read music and you can play a string instrument. And you're absolutely correct. I definitely have created jobs. I've had up to 3 staff members at one time. I've actually since made some changes in my business. So now I just have 1 full-time staff member. And I've also have saved a cumulative, are you ready? $13 million in taxes since I've been doing this. $13 million because the government doesn't want your money. Now, the other thing is that here's the thing. Most entrepreneurs, including speakers like yourself, hire me as their chief tax strategist because most lack the right strategies, the right write-offs, and the right deductions. So they continue to grossly overpay and under-deduct on those returns. So I help them to unlock the mystery of taxation, to uncover legal loopholes, and to reveal missed opportunities to create residual income for them year after year. Bottom line, my clients pay less to the IRS legally, and I'm here to protect them along the way.
Which is awesome. Go ahead.
And one last thing.
Yeah.
Most most accountants, most tax preparers, etc., they do a good job of recording your history. You go to them at the end of the year, you bring in a shoebox full of stuff, and you give it to them, right? And then they kind of like have to, they pull out their hair, they turn gray. Look at how much gray hair I have from all those boxes. And they like, what? So essentially, they do a good job recording your history. As a certified tax coach and a certified tax planner, we help to write your history, because our job is to make sure that we're working with you proactively so that you mitigate as much of those taxes as possible, especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Definitely.
There you have it.
Oh, that was absolutely wonderful. One thing that I took away from how you're describing the taxes is that part of what you do that makes things so effective, that allows you to create reproducible monumental results for your clients, is that within all of that, you are doing the work that needs to be done today and not waiting till the last minute to do it.
Yeah, a great leader is going to take the time, especially if they're a business owner, right? They're going to take the time to plan this stuff out. At the end of the day, without money, right, we can't accomplish anything. Most people do not actually have a right plan put in place. Like most entrepreneurs they think of a tax person like at the end of the year. It's almost like reactionary to a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most and many of them feel like, oh, I just need to send you my data once a month and you can bookkeep for us. Like this is the position of most entrepreneurs. And unfortunately, I say that most people will also severely undervalue the nature of planning, especially when it comes to their taxes. So I'm making a promise to you as well as to your audience member that if they would love to have a one-on-one chit chat with me more about this, I know that by working with me, I have systems that work in place, not only to help other people to get their life back into order, because everyone is afraid of the government and more importantly, their taxes and their money, but we can chit chat and overcome those barriers. So I'm gonna make that promise now, if I may.
Okay. I mean, I'm easygoing. I'm never going to complain about promises.
That's awesome. So with that in mind,
yeah,
you got an expert sitting here in your chair. You have any questions on top of your mind that you'd like to ask?
Well, first one is, what really made you decide to go into business for yourself? I mean, I know it started with the violin lesson that you really wanted, but how does it expand from there into a consulting agency?
Okay, so this is the great story. You ready? Honestly, here's the truth.
Honestly, I think I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready now.
Essentially what happened is I was looking back to the reason of why I created the company that I've created. Like, why does JB Financial exist? Why does the Phoenix Renaissance exist? The orchestra exist? Why does Tax Tiger Consulting exist, right? Like, why do all these companies of mine, I gave birth to them, believe it or not. You gave birth to your speaking gig. Most entrepreneurs give birth to their businesses. And so it wasn't until I did some self-reflection and I started going backwards into my life and picking out all of the various events in my life that I finally made the connections. And I realized that since a very young age, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been a rule breaker, right? Like a JOB was great because it gave me some of the skill sets that I needed in order to be fabulous right now, right? But without that JOB, I couldn't be this fabulous guy. And so I looked back at that time period and it finally came to me and I went, oh, like this is why I do what I do. And that's how it was created. But the truth of the matter is that I was asked at the age of 18 years old by a mentor that I would later meet in life. And he had said to me, Jonathan, why is it that like why are you being a teacher? Like, why are you in education? Because at that time, I was getting my degree in education because that was my dream. That was like the thing I wanted to do from the age of 5 years old. I wanted to get in front of you and I wanted to teach you whatever the hell I was going to teach you. That's what I wanted to do. And so here I am going to college, getting my degree in education. And my mentor says to me, you want to be poor your whole life? And at that time, I didn't know what that meant. But it triggered something so deeply inside of me that I about shook of just complete fear, the fear of being poor for the rest of my life. And why do I say that? Because I am a product of extreme poverty. And what I mean by this is that my mother raised myself and my younger brother and herself on just a limited $500 or less a month. We're talking.
How is that even possible? That's what I want to know.
Here's what you do. You don't buy new clothes. You don't buy any necessities. You don't buy luxuries. You don't take trips. You don't go on vacations. You don't subscribe to stuff. You live off your basic needs. You live off of macaronis and cheese, powdered milk, peanut butter, and then of course beans and rice and homemade tortillas. That part I love the most, by the way. My mother made them every single day. And you drink Kool-Aid from the Kool-Aid packages. You pour them in, with no sugar because sugar is expensive. So you pour it in and that's what flavors your water. But this is what we grew up on. We grew up with no presents during Christmas time. We grew up with none of this stuff, right? And so I was just like mortified that like being a teacher could create that for me. So I said, well, what do I do? And he goes, simple, work with money. And so I was like, okay, all right then. So I took a class in accounting 101 and I freaking fell in love with it. I got debits and credits. Most people right now, if you're listening and if you're not an accountant, you're like, debits and credits, the hell's that? Just trust me. It's confusing as hell, but I got it. So next thing you know it, I'm in love with it. I'm just like, yeah. And then boom, bada bang. My life would move me to a city called Bisbee, Arizona. So anyone there, shout out to you guys. So Bisbee, Arizona is a border town, border of Mexico and Arizona. 5,000 people live there approximately. And they call it the Little San Francisco. And so essentially there, you either work for somebody or you work for the government, or you create your own job. And so at the end of 2004, I was finishing up my degree in accounting, and I looked around and I saw no accountants in this little town, and I realized that this was a market that I could tap into. And so I set up shop quite literally. I got me a little office space on Main Street, and I went out and I got me used desks and used computers and used everything. And I set up shop and I just started calling myself a tax accountant, which is what I was getting my degree in. And next thing you know it, I started helping business owners inside of Bisbee. And my biggest claim to fame, my first year that I started, was taking a guy who believed that his business was making him money, and he was making not quite six figures yet, and he believed he was. And I said, well, just give me a chance to show you otherwise, or in fact to validify what you feel, because numbers tell us the truth. And with that, I will say though that garbage in, garbage out. So it's not just about the money or the numbers going in and coming out. It's about how they're going in and how they're coming out and being interpreted. So I said, let me analyze this for you. So we did. Well, it turns out he was losing money every time he produced a product, plain and simple. And so I said, look, whoa, like this is not working. You got to raise rates. You got to cut costs here. You got to find efficiencies, la. So before you know it, within about a year or two, he went almost to about $1 million company as a result of making changes in his business. Of course, at that time, I undervalued myself. That's okay. It's a whole other story. But I digress. So I helped this guy to grow his business, and I got such a high off of it. Like I was like, yes, baby, yes. and he was inspired too. And so I said, well, how do we repeat this? Great leaders plan, right? It's replicable results. So how do we repeat the process? And so I started going around to other business owners and started analyzing their businesses in the same exact fashion. So we all know that in business, maybe you don't, money is derived of selling a product or a service, minus my cost, right? These are the way we make a profit, right? A profit. And sometimes we create a loss, sometimes on purpose, for the simple fact that you spent way too much money on something you shouldn't have, but you needed to, or the government will give us an expense that we're allowed to offset our income. And it's the D word. And nope, I'm not thinking this. I'm thinking depreciation, right? It is the number one freebie gift that you get from the government to allow you to buy assets and then claim it as and then depreciate its use. And if you're so fortunate to have done it in 2018 moving forward for 2025, Uncle Sam's going to let you depreciate up to 100% of that asset in the year it's purchased.
Wow, that's actually crazy to think about, because some of those assets, I used to do it, some accounting work. Some of those assets have huge dollar amounts behind them, huge dollar amounts, and if you can depreciate that in a year, oh my goodness.
And I forgot to caveat this. Okay, I forgot to phrase this, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching right now, what you're about to hear does not constitute legal advice nor tax advice. You should take whatever I say and go ask an accountant or professional to give you guidance specifically to your situation. Okay, I had to say that.
There's the legal disclaimer. It's good. That's always a good thing to be saying.
Because the truth is that, yes, I'm saying these things in generalities, and yes, like everything, because see, here's the thing about taxes. They're like it's like going on a date with somebody, all right? Like, they are finical, they change their mind, they stand you up. One minute they say they want you, the next minute they say they don't. Like, they're just really confusing. And tax law is exactly like this. It seems like it's static. It seems like it stays. But anybody who's ever talked to a tax professional will tell you they're always changing moment by moment, right? And so it's like 1 minute you're on, 1 minute you're off. And so what I say right now may not apply tomorrow, quite literally, right? It just depends.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why there are people who do taxes full time throughout the entire year. It's because that is how often it changes and how ready you have to be for it to change. Because in business, this happens a lot where people aren't expecting change. And so they plan things out, not expecting the change to be there. And then when things do change, it all goes to hell in a handbasket.
Correct. And you know what? Unfortunately, the reason why it does go down the drain so fast, so quick, it is because the option of hiring a professional like ourselves, right, to help them to plan and mitigate that and see it from a broader picture. So they kind of shy away. And there's actually 4 types of taxpayers, by the way. There's 4 different types of taxpayers. So I actually have some animation here to show you. Are you ready for it?
I think so. Hold on. Wait. Okay, I'm ready.
Based on these pictures, I'm going to show you one. And if you think this applies to you, even if you're watching from home or your office, or if you're sitting in your bathrobe and watching, just think about this character. Are you ready? This dude right here.
Okay.
All right.
I think I have an idea of who that is.
All right. So this type of taxpayer, what do we think this type of taxpayer is?
Consumer. Employee.
We're all consumers. This guy right here, he is my avoider, right? He's kind of like, I'll take care of it. Things are going to happen. Like, I'll deal with it tomorrow. And so it just, I made a mistake. Oh, well, I'll deal with it later. But this is my good Homer right here, right? But if you take somebody like Marge Simpson, right? She's going to be a little bit more about like, I want to make sure everything is good. I want to make sure everyone is working. I want to make sure that I work with my accountant or my tax guys or whatever. She's going to do her best to her ability because her job, right, is to make sure the household flows like it's supposed to. She's not an expert, but she knows enough. Or could you be Lisa, right? Lisa is my expert. She's the one who's like, the rule, this is the law. The law says I can only deduct meals when I'm with the client, right? The law says that I can only depreciate a building or whatever. It's kind of like whatever the law says, this is my Lisa, right? Or maybe you are like Bart and you kind of just start a business and you just start going. You don't think about what you're going to do. You just do it. And you just charge into a situation. You'll deal with your taxes as they come through, but you just kind of just flop right through, right? This is my Bart right here, causing trouble. So goes, creates something, comes to the tax guy or a woman and says, by the way, I kind of sold like 5 houses, took out interest on those, a mortgage, and then I rebought another property. Can I deduct this? And then you're like, but you already created your problem. So I ask, which one of those 4 characters are you? But nonetheless, we see this a lot that come into my office is 4 types of characters, Simpson characters that come in, and we really help them to go from where they were, which is, I don't know what my taxes are. I don't know my financials. I don't know, can I afford to pay for an employee? Can I afford to take rent out on a building and a space and look professional or whatever that might be? Can I afford to do X, Y, Z? And so we help them to not only identify it, but we help them to find missed opportunities on prior returns. Because you see a lot of do-it-yourselfers, no offense to anybody, and we all start there, they believe that they have all the answers, and youtube.com or google.com, right? They go and they do this to look it up. Guilty as charged. I've got courses out there to help the DIYers do their own stuff. The thing is that without the active planning side of it, without going to your advisor and looking at them at the highest level, you just end up running yourself into deeper and deeper and deeper mud. And so eventually when it's too late, you either just collapse in it, don't take no action, and you just keep worrying and thinking it's going to go away, or you somehow come out of the mud, but now you're trying to get under the waterfall, but you can't quite reach it just yet.
Absolutely.
So we help them to do that. The other thing, though, and when you kind of mentioned this, like, why did I create JB? The thing about it is, think about this for a moment. Every time you decide as an individual, but primarily as a business owner, to do something with money, there is a tax consequence to you, no matter what. Positive and negative consequences on both sides of the fence. And if you don't have somebody there acting kind of like as your guru to guide you along that path, so that before you go and take out a mortgage on your personal residence for 2019 and buy a second property with the intent of renting it out, and know that I've got sounds coming out everywhere.
It's all good.
Knowing that you may not be able to deduct that interest, so now you just screwed yourself. That's a new change in the law, by the way. So the thing here is if before you do that, you would seek out a guru like myself and say, I'm about to go buy a second piece of property and I'm going to take my house and I'm going to mortgage it, good or bad. And so luckily we have packages that we help our clients so they don't have to worry about a surprise bill for the answer.
Absolutely. And one of the important things to recognize in that is that different people have different strengths. And when you come up to a problem that's outside of your strength, if you try to tackle it yourself, you may end up okay. However, you're going to be a lot better off if you find somebody who knows the problem a lot better than you and can dig into how to do it the best way for you in that circumstance at that time.
And the truth is, many, many, many business owners, they want to do one thing and one thing only, right? And that is they want to do what they do well. If you're a painter, you just want to paint. You don't care about the logistics, about the monetary side, right? If you're a leader amongst leaders, all you want to do is focus on the leadership of it, right? Like that's what you want to do. And if we think about it, there's one thing that makes every single person in this world equal, like literally everybody, including insects, animals, and everything else. And there's one thing that makes us all equal. Do you care? You want to guess what that is?
You're going to tell me, so hit me with it.
I'm going to tell you, it's time. There's just 24 hours in a day. You can't rent it. You can't buy it. You can sure spend it wrongly, but you can't overspend it. So that's always a good thing. But you see, well, I guess maybe death would be overspending, but I digress. So,
oh my goodness.
So, so time makes us all equal, right? So like you just said, if we can rely on other experts in the field that they do really well at, this is a twofold deal. On one hand, they have become extremely efficient at what they do, right? So what would normally take you 5 hours, by the way, according to the IRS's guidelines, a 1040 will take about 30 plus hours to complete. Just saying. So if you are do-it-yourself, or you're looking at a minimum of 30 hours to just review what you can't, like how you fill it out, right? So my point is that each business owner becomes super efficient in what they do. And so instead of it taking me all this extra time to figure out marketing, for example, I'd rather go somewhere else to people who specialize in that because they're more efficient. What does that do? It creates more time on my shoulders. So now I can go do the things that I love to do, which is to get really nerdy and sexy with taxes. Like, that's what I do, right? So it's exactly that. It's kind of like, go to your professionals, because at the end of the day, they're going to free up your time. And here's another thing. If you're an entrepreneur, time is money. So if I'm spending time working inside of my business in the rat race of chasing money, in the rat race of figuring out how I'm going to pay for my bills, in the rat race of how I'm going to get more clients, in the rat race of whatever else, you cannot possibly grow your business and make it a multi-six-figure, make it a multi-million-dollar company if you're working inside of it.
Absolutely. No, you're 100% correct in that. And that's so important for leaders to understand, because so often the leader thinks, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And that is such a destructive mindset in the long term. In the short term, it might get the work done today, but in the long term, how many millions of dollars are you losing? Literally, you've seen people losing millions of dollars, not just literally millions, but millions in opportunity. For instance, the person you helped with their business, and they were running at a loss instead of a profit, and you turned them around into $1 million business. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine how many millions of dollars they could have earned if they realized this sooner?
You know what? You're bringing up a good point here. And here's the thing. When you work with a certified tax coach or a certified tax planner, you're working with somebody who has your best interest at heart. Why? Because if you are successful, we're successful. It's a reflection of what we do when we interact with you, right? And here's the thing. When you work with us, we're not a cost of doing business, right? Most entrepreneurs wake up in the morning to start their own career, because let's face it, if you're like me, you are a terrible employee, right? You don't follow rules. You don't check in when you should. You hate being told what to do. Like, please, dude, like, I'm my own boss. Look, I'm in a polo shirt, right? By the way, legal tax purposes, I have it logoed. You see that? Uncle Sam's going to help me offset this cost. I digress. So the thing is that when you work with a certified tax planner, they become an investment to you, to your company. And here's more important, just case in point. I was working with a doctor. I just took on a new doctor a few months ago, and they were paying, are you ready for this? They were about to shell out $166,000 to the government. $166,000, right? So what I said was, listen, we'll find a strategy, not just one, but multiple strategies in which to help you to mitigate that you're legally entitled to do. And so we came up with some strategies for him, and overnight, boom, we saved him $166,000. So the fees that we work with our clients is simply a return on their investment. You know, it's kind of like Would you rather pay Uncle Sam $1,000, or would you rather pay me, let's say, $500, and you keep $500? It's an investment, and that's the biggie here. It's that your certified tax planner should not be viewed as a cost. They are an investment to doing business with you. And that's
exactly. And within the terms of leadership here, we're talking about understanding the difference between an asset and a liability here. And within that, hiring people are going to be assets for you in the long term, whether it's an employee or it's somebody who's a consultant of some sort. And they're not a cost to the business. They're going to help you generate more business. And that's what you want with every single person you bring on your team. You don't want them to be a cost. You want them to bring you more money. So if you bring on a tax professional, they help you save money. Now that money can hire you another person, and that person can generate 10x what it costs you. And now instead of losing money, you've 10x'd what you've invested in two people.
You're nailing it. I hate to guiltily admit this to you right now, but here's the truth. Growing up, going through university and working for firms and things of that nature, I always heard that word, human working capital. And I never understood what the heck that meant. It didn't compute. You would think so, right? With all this and jazz and whatever else. And when I had to sit down and go, how does JB go from barely making $45,000 a year to making multi-six figures? How do we do this, right? How do I do this? And so I said, I have to invest in the right human capital, the right persons to help me to grow. And this is the thing about leaders. Leaders inspire us. Leaders give us hope. Leaders help us believe in ourselves. Leaders believe in us, right? And when you're a business owner, when you look back at your human capital, you're looking at them as an investment to make you revenue, right? In a positive way, to get you more business, because they're going to deliver on what you say, because you're the face, right? Like, this cuteness is the face of JB, right? But yet all the work is being done here. So I've got to make sure that my human working capital is being well taken care of. And the thing is most leaders go, money, 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 money. It's going to cost me money. But what if I told you that money isn't the answer?
Absolutely.
People, some, yes, are motivated by money. We'll all agree that we all would never turn down $1 million, right? We'll agree to that. But money isn't what makes us happy. Money isn't what solves all of our problems. Money doesn't do any of that stuff, right? So there's other ways in which we work with our human capital, with our employees and others around us, right? We call this incentivization. The government even rewards you for incentivizing your human working capital, peeps. Listen, this is how much they reward you. Are you ready for this? Because I'm totally excited about this.
This is very awesome, because so many people are looking for reasons to empower their people, make them feel better, to want to be in the workplace. And this is an opportunity, more reason to do that.
Are you okay? Are you ready? Are you ready for it? Here it comes. Here it comes. I can say to my employee, you know what? I am just so blown away with the quality of work that you've done for me. So I'd like to give you some hard-earned cash, because that's money, right? And you get to give it to them as an award, tax-free to both people. Or let's say, for example, you notice your employee really likes Harry Potter. Yes, I'm talking about mine. Loves Harry Potter, right? So what do? Well, it's not about the money. It's about what they love, right? So I went out and I got them a very special handmade wand from Harry Potter and presented it to them as an award, right? The company still paid for it. But here's the thing. Uncle Sam recognizes that and goes, you get to deduct that tax-free, as in, you're not subjected to payroll tax. You get to give this to your employee as a way of saying thank you. Or check this one out. Are you ready? Are you a traveler? Do you travel everywhere and you have an assistant that works with you, right? Here's the thing. You can take said assistant with you on your travel trips. So now you look to your human working capital and you go, where would you love to go this year? Because you're training them that you don't take vacations as a business owner. It's always travel. And they go, well, I don't know. So what do? You go, well, I'm traveling to Canada. I'm traveling to Chicago. I'm going to Vegas. Da, 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 da. How about I bring you with me to a full paid expense trip? And the government's going to subsidize it. And you get a vacation, quote unquote, out of it. And guess what? Even more important, you get the education out of it. Because if I keep you learning, if I keep you engaged, you will produce more by the pure nature of your investment with me. Plain and simple.
Absolutely. And I love that because so often leaders say, I can't spend this money. I can't give people these opportunities. But if they do, what is going to be the kickback from it? Because you bring that person on the trip with you, you get the opportunity to develop them. And they love you.
Yeah.
Because how often does any boss take an employee with them anywhere? And with that, they're going to want to do better work for you. Their produce is going to be so much higher than if you said every single time, you need to stay here because you're not worth taking me somewhere else.
That's exactly it. That is the issue right at hand, is that the employer believes that the employee is not worth it. They believe the employee is a cost of doing business, right? They're not looking at them as an investment. And that's what's extremely important. Extremely important.
Exactly. And any investment, if you keep feeding into it, appreciates over time. It's going to get better and better and better. And the two best investments you can ever make are in yourself and in the people you have.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. And you know what? And if you are in an interesting tax entity structure, like, for example, I hear this thrown out a lot, S Corp, C Corps, things of this nature. And I also hear a lot of, how do I take money out of my business, right? Because every entrepreneur wakes up thinking and believing that they're going to contribute X amount of dollars to this they get to this business, and they want it all back. And they're anxious, like, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? And so the thing is that once you're finally structured in a legal entity that will produce the largest amount of tax savings, you end up, that is when you get to really formally get to pay yourself out of the company, right? And now you get to reap the same rewards that you get to reap when you invest in your own human working capital. So believe it or not, you end up becoming your own working capital of your own company. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. It makes perfect sense to me. And even if you don't own a business, right? And you're, middle management somewhere, you have a team. This gives you leverage to be able to create a better team around you. Because even if you're not directly getting money back yourself, but you have a team and you know that you want them to perform at the highest levels, you want them to be happy when they get to work, you want them to be a dream team, even within middle management. Now you have the ability to look at this and say, how does this benefit the organization as a whole by doing this? And I know that we can get tax money back doing this. Yes. I know that I can get my employees to produce at a higher level doing this. I know that if I go on this trip, I can get the relaxation I need and get business done that needs to get done while there.
You nailed it. I mean, that's what it is. When I started JB, like I said, eons ago, it feels like, I really believed in work-life balance. My firm is unique in that we do not have a typical tax season. Like most accountants out there, wake up January 1, stress the hell out. Actually, it starts in December. They're stressed the heck out. And then they work through the end of April 15th, and then they keep working till about July or August for all the extensions and everything else. I realized a long time ago that I did not want to live this life. I wanted to be able to balance it between family, friends, and my work and the things I love to do most. And so I set out to create a system that not only created multi-six figures for me on a monthly basis, but it also helped me to help my employees as well to experience the same type of lifestyle. And that's so valid, so important. So again, when you think about human working capital, time is currency, right? So if you go to someone, corporate America is all about work. Like you can only take off like 2 minutes and that's to go to use the restroom and that's it, right? Like that's just corporate America. If you were instead twisted around, especially when you're a small entrepreneur and you don't have enough resources, you have an abundance of something called time. So you can use that as currency and go to the people that are working with you and say, I know that corporate America does only 2 weeks off during the year. How about I give you an extra 2 more weeks of paid time off or just time off in general, whatever, however you work that deal. But people will take time, especially if you structure it in a way that they can have the fulfilling life that they want when they work with you. And that's what I created here in my firm. So we do not have a typical tax season because I don't allow it. I believe in work-life balance, baby.
And something that I'm picking up with this, not just for the business owner, but even if you're someone within the corporate hemisphere where you're not able to give people the extra paid weeks vacation because that's just how it's set up. What you can do is you can look ahead. And you can be asking, what do I want my team to be looking like? How do I want them to be living? How do they want to be living? How do I want to be living myself within what we've got going on here? And you can plan it out now so that you can actually get there. Because so often, especially in the corporate world, you get so caught up in everything going on. And then you end up working extra hours. You don't have the work-life balance. You get angry because you're always at work and your team starts to resent you because you're always angry. And instead of planning ahead, right, and creating a life that not just yourself, but the people on your team want to be creating, you create chaos instead, and no one wants chaos.
And what planning means in my world, planning means we're planning for today and we're planning for tomorrow. And at the end of the day, when we look at all of the various tax strategies, we're looking for ways to free up cash that's already slated for the prison sale called the IRS, right? Like it's already slated there because you just don't know any better. Like I said, the government doesn't want our money. So you just don't know that they don't want your money, right? So by being proactive and by planning, we're finding ways to free up cash today, because then now you can take said currency, right? And you can use it to develop your business. And you dump it back into the investment. Either it's back into your employees, it's back into products, back into service, back into your own education. It's something that you are reinvesting. And we do that by freeing up this cash that's otherwise already slated for IRS jail.
Absolutely. And that is the power of planning anything, is when you are planning it, it gives you the guidelines of what to be doing and what not to be doing, so that you can live within those boundaries right there to allow for the best possible circumstances to come out.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you 100 million%. Yes. I'm trying to think, there was something else that came to my mind, but it already fluttered through. By the way, you know what? This is great about business owners, right? So good leaders, by the way, in my opinion, great leaders don't get attached to the way things should be. So for example, like if you are thinking like, I am going to make, like my dream is to bring on 1,000 new people, 1,000 new, 1,000 new clients, let's say, and you only get to 500, let's just say, not a bad deal, right? Most entrepreneurs would feel like, oh, I didn't hit my target. Like, oh man, like what the H, like the world falls apart. But if we're not attached to the vision, we just know what the vision is and we're aiming for it and we're headed in that direction. But as long as we're not attached to it, and when it doesn't achieve it, we don't get depressed. We don't get like, we're a failure. I'm worthless. I'm not worth anything. I'm da 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 da. We instead can go, hey, I got 500 more people than I thought was possible. I was shooting for 1,000. I'll take 5, right? So it's about this non-attachment to the outcome that happens to you.
Absolutely. And that's so important for all of leadership, because we as leaders have to come up with these plans. Sometimes we're trying to look 5-10 years into the future, and so much can change in 5 to 10 years, especially with the way the world is changing. We've had more innovations and changes in the world in the past 100 years than the previous 2,000 years. That is the exponential rate in which things are changing. And so it's difficult to plan out 5-10 years. And yet that's what we're trying to do. And a lot of times it doesn't pan out exactly as you were thinking. And if you think that it has to go that way, you're not going to attain it. It's just not possible. Things are going to happen. It's like you're going down the road and lightning strikes a tree and the tree falls down. Now you can't go down that road. That happens in life to all of us. And not just you as the leader, but everyone on your team, this happens as well. And so if you're always attached to those results, you as the leader and the people on your team are going to end up feeling depressed, are going to end up feeling like they're not worth it, are going to feel like they suck. And all of these things combine to create less productivity. Yes. And then you're not going to be able to function to get repeatable monumental results.
Exactly. And so we just have to just not be attached to that. And plain and simple. By the way, speaking of non-attachment, so I'm going to segue us.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready? So yes. So here we go. Ready? Many entrepreneurs, when they wake up and they decide, like I said, they're going to start their company, right? They just wake up and boom, bada bang, they're doing what they do really well and they love what they're doing. Yeah. They believe fundamentally that they are their business, that my business is me and me is my business. like there's no separation here. And so what happens is we start commingling our funds. We commit the C word. That's commingling, right? Complete violation of everything under the sun when it comes to business and taxes, by the way. So we wake up and we believe that if something goes wrong, it's because of me. If something goes well, it's because of me or something. But there's always this attachment. And so I actually have a exercise that I work with my clients that I'll share with you now if you'd like.
Sure.
And here he goes. Are you ready? It's a terrible, terrible exercise, but I promise it will help to break the mindset. Are you ready for it?
All right.
So we all know that I own my company. It's my firm. It's my practice, all that jazz. But my boss, he's a total jackass. Like, he doesn't care about my emotions. He doesn't care if I'm sick. The dude doesn't even pay me sick pay. That's how stingy this guy is. Like, this guy goes around and expects me to work from like 9 a.m. to like 9 p.m. Monday through Monday, like never giving up. All he cares about is closing a deal, making money, and having results. Like, this is what this dude thinks about, right? At the same time, though, my boss is actually a really nice guy because he does give me time off when I need it. Sometimes paid, sometimes not. He does take me on trips for business all the time. He even gives me a freaking corporate car that I get to use to get back and forth to work and other places. Like, he takes care of me overall, right? And so this is the first thing we must do, is figure out, who is your boss? You can pretend as if it's just you, but that's I find that more difficult. So we start out with asking, who is your boss? So Cody, if you were to think about that, who's your boss?
My boss is going to, what it sounds like from the way you're telling your story here, is the government is my boss.
Oh, okay. All right. He's more like your uncle. He still wants to, he's going to take some money from you when he needs to, but he doesn't want it. Trust me, he does not want it. He does not want it. Your boss is extension of you, right? So like if you had to like think about your business and if you had to report to somebody, who would you report to inside of your company?
If I had to report to somebody inside of my company,
And he was your boss or she was your boss, who are they?
I feel like it would be the company itself.
And what do they sound like? What do they look like? How do you communicate with them? Are they like mine? Like he's a total jackass sometimes. Like he doesn't care about my feelings. The guy does not care about my feelings. How rude. Like what about your boss?
That's an interesting question that I haven't really thought about before. And so it's a very interesting perspective to be thinking about.
So that's the thing, right? Like if we get you to think outside of the box, which is what I do really well, if we get you to think outside of the box about your company differently, you will treat your company differently. Because here's the thing, I use the analogy that our companies are like children. Right now, I just gave birth to Tax Tiger Consulting. It's been a very long process. It's consuming a lot of resources just like an infant does. And so if you think about it that way, when you start a business for the first time, that's all it's going to do. It's going to take resources. But you don't want to let it die. Would you let a child die after giving birth to it?
No.
No. Would you abuse your child?
No.
Right? You wouldn't steal from it, I hope.
No.
Right? So why would we do this to our own companies? And so if we began to think about our companies as truly separate people, which, by the way, the Supreme Court has upheld that they are, in fact, looked at as separate entities, as separate people. They have the same power, essentially. So the thing is that if we began to treat our companies as if they are separate from us, like a child, mine right now is like, technically it's like 4 years old in its development stage right now. So it's actually self-sufficient now, right? Like I still have to babysit it. I still have to feed it. I still have to provide for it, but it's very self-sufficient now. Whereas when it's 1 year old, it's you doing it all, taking care of your baby, right? So a good parent plans, like a good leader plans for the outcome of their child. And if they take really good care of it, then they can move that into a whole new direction. And we can do that by practicing that cute little simple strategy of who's your boss? Who do you report to?
Absolutely. And outside of just the entrepreneurial space, I can see this being extremely valuable within like the corporate world. Not just because you literally have a boss that you report to directly, but you also have a team, and you can look at your team in the same way that an entrepreneur would look at their business. And you're raising up this team to be able to do whatever it is they're supposed to be doing. And so if your boss is the team, you have to look at, how do I use my resources so the team is the best it can be? How do I make sure they're set up to be successful? How do I make sure that this team is going to be able to, stay alive if I get sick?
You nailed it. So here's the thing, right? There's different, so believe it or not, there's actually 3 big ways in which businesses function. So I said earlier, you think about the child and you think about, its teenage years or its young childhood. And then eventually teenage, middle age, and then old age, right? Like, and that's when you start planning for succession, right? That's when you start planning on how do I get out. And most people just think, I'll just close the doors. But they don't think about what you're creating, which is an investment. So when you're nice, gray, and old, and you've had enough, or you've taken this business and made it into something extremely successful, because it is an asset, you have multiple things you can do with it. You can sell it. You can bring on partners, you can bring on your family members, great tax strategy, by the way, and have them manage it. Like there's ways in which you get out without sacrificing giving it all away. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
The first one, we call this the solopreneur. We've all been there at some point or another. This is the person who wakes up like myself going, there's no accountant in town, let me be the accountant, right? It's like you waking up and going, there's nobody here to help others to become great leaders, let me do it for them. And so we create this solopreneurship that the world's using right now, right? And that's just you. And then you move into something called like employee managed companies. That's your teams. That's your corporate America, right? These are other people driving the company forward. You, the owner, you still have to come in. You still have to babysit. You still have to make sure it's moving in the direction that you want it to go in. All that. Apparently my other half thinks I don't work. So anyways, so great. You just totally lost me. Note for next time, peeps, if you're ever out there being a guest speaker, make sure this stuff does not come through. Just saying.
Hey, but that's a great lesson in, hey, things are going to go haywire. What are you going to do? You just keep going. It's okay. That's life.
You gotta keep rolling with the dough, right? So I was talking about management, employee managed companies, yeah?
Yep.
Where we would love to be and where I'm headed and where I want to take a lot of other people with me is I want to be drinking martinis with you, Cody, on the beach. Well, I still make money because now I own a company that is strictly run by management and other people. They're still producing it. I don't even have to go get the meat to bring it in to have it slaughtered. It's being done by other people. I don't even have to worry about, is the stuff right? Because I've hired the right people that I know have the same skill set and standards as me because I've created that. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about progression, and it's about where do you want to go? What are you trying to achieve at the end of the day? And this is something else that I just recently discovered. And that is that the reason why we create our businesses is because we believe deep inside of ourselves that we are that leader. We believe deep down inside that we are worthy of inspiring others. We believe that we possess something so unique unto ourselves that we know that when we open our mouths and we share with the world with what we do, we will make an impact. We will help them. And so you need a business to create the currency to allow you to continue to deliver the message. And furthermore, the government understands this, and so it is written into tax law to allow you to offset the costs of doing business against the income that would otherwise be taxed.
And that's so powerful. That's so powerful because I personally believe that everybody has a reason for being. They have some sort of purpose. They have skills and abilities which are extremely necessary in the world and need to be seen in the world. And not everyone's going to become an entrepreneur. However, that doesn't mean that your role is any less, and that you may be the secretary, but you may be the best darn secretary in the world that empowers someone who has a different type of message to be able to tell that message. And your message is that I support that person. That is so powerful. And once you hear that voice, to take the steps you need to be able to live into it.
That's exactly it. You know what? What's funny about this is every entrepreneur does not realize this, and I certainly hated the idea of being known as a sales dude. I really did. I was like, I don't want to be that sleazy sales car guy, right? We've all been there. I was like, I don't want to be him. But you know what? It's interesting is that we as business owners, we sell 24/7, right? 24/7. I don't care if I'm selling it because I walk into a place and I just insert what I do, right? That's how I get my clients. Whether I'm at a function and again, I bring up what I do, I have to tell people what I do. Otherwise, they don't know. And a lot of entrepreneurs are afraid of telling the world what they do. But here's the thing, you were chosen to be an entrepreneur. You were chosen to be a leader in this world. So in my opinion, it's about getting out there and telling the world what you do. And in exchange, hopefully they'll do business with you. And the thing is, there's another thing in the sales thing. Sales is about motivating and inspiring people to take action. Simple as that, right? And so if I've got my staff, and like you talked about, if you have employees, you have teams, if you can get them to believe and you can sell them on your dream, you're absolutely correct. They will take great pride in helping you to achieve your dream because it's a reflection of themselves as well. Plain and simple.
Absolutely. And on top of that, if you use the right motivation for the right individuals, not only will they want to support you, but they'll perpetuate that dream. They'll talk about it from their perspective and why they want to support it. And so now you don't have one person spreading that message, but you have multiple people spreading that message. And how often do any businesses have their employees talking about how great the message is that they're supporting? It's rare.
It's extremely rare. It's extremely rare. And that is why, like, before you invest the energy and the time into a new hire, you really, really, really should know who it is that you want to have working with you. It's one thing if I went and hired me, a fresh high school graduate, let's just say, are they moldable? Absolutely. But where are they in their life? Right now, they're thinking about like, who I'm dating tomorrow. Who am I dating tomorrow? I'm in love with so-and-so. I'm in love with so-and-so. Like, I think I'm going to go become an engineer. No, wait, I'm going to become a lawyer. No, wait, right? Like, you may or may not want to engage in like someone of this nature, right? Maybe if you're fast food, perfect, right? Because you only need so many hours. I mean, you don't want them eating in your labor costs, but I digress. Or instead, like, do you find, like in my case, I've been lucky where I hire people who are typically like they usually are in some form of accounting of some sort in their history of working. And I like that because I like to teach them, that's the nature of me, I like to teach them and mold them to become just like me so they can deliver the same type of standards that I adhere to.
Absolutely. And what's so powerful in that is that you're not just selling them on the mission, but you're selling them into what they should be doing and how things should be done. And that's extremely powerful when you can get your team on the same page as you in the work that they do.
Yeah, and again, you do it through fostering, you do it through encouraging. It's not about like you did a terrible job, but go fix it, right? It's about, okay, so here's a mistake and how do we address this, right? How do we fix it so it doesn't happen again? Then again, it could be my personality. I'm less of like, you did it, right? Like I'm more about the praise from it, and then how do we change it and how do we make it better?
Yeah, and I think that's actually more powerful for a leader to have that kind of an attitude, because so many people have that negativity falling down on them all the time. And that's what leads to statistics like 58% of people would trust a complete stranger more than their own boss. And you don't know, that complete stranger could be an axe murderer, and yet they would still trust that person more than their boss. That's a scary statistic. And it's because so many people in leadership positions aren't treating their people like people. Because people make mistakes. Machines aren't designed to make mistakes, and that's what so many people in leadership positions treat their people like, cogs in the machine. But they're people. And people are human. We make mistakes. And if you say, hey, I recognize that you do good work, that you are a good person, that you want to continue to do good work, and I recognize we didn't hit that with this specific scenario, And I know you want to do good work. So let's figure out how we can actually get good work done. And let's figure out how we don't do this again. And that person suddenly goes, oh my gosh, they're not here to come down on me. They're not here to bear down on me. They're not going to treat me like a cog in the machine. They're here and they see me as a human, and they see me want to get better. And they see that we want to get this organization better, and they want my thoughts and opinions on how to make that happen. Now I want to be there. I want to get better with them. I want to make this organization better because the leader is there with me.
You know what? You nailed it. You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. And here's the truth of the matter, right? It's not just the employees either. It's the entrepreneurs as well, right? Like I get a lot of people that come in here and they are embarrassed, like truly embarrassed about their financial situation, or I should say lack of their knowledge of their financial situation, right? They fundamentally believe that somehow we're going to criticize them, that somehow that they are just a total F up. Like they believe this. They truly believe that there's no way out, that they don't see the end of the tunnel. And the truth of the matter is, and I tell this to everybody who comes in here, when you come and you work with JB Financial, you are entering a judge-free zone. I do care about your success, and I do care about you as a person, but I don't care about how you did it in the past. The past is the past. And if all we focus on is the past, then all that breeds is depression, despair, fear, you name it. It's all back here. And then what happens is that instead of being in the middle, they jump to the future and they go, but if I start digging up this crap, Uncle Sam's going to come get me. He's going to take me to jail, which, by the way, only happens if you knowingly, criminally intend to defraud the government, which is a different story. But they fundamentally believe that, oh, I don't want to deal with this because they're afraid of what is going to happen. So they end up living in the future instead of the right now. And the right now is taking a deep, calm breath. Right now is calming our monkey brains from jumping here and there. Right now, it is about bringing us peace and knowing that there is hope, and knowing that there are people in this world like myself who will sit in a judge-free zone with you and have an open dialogue about your finances. And the beautiful thing is that we teach our clients that, yes, this is what made you sick. This is what created your problems. This is how we're going to fix your problems. And then this is how we're going to keep your problems from coming back. And by working with us, we're going to train you how to be an amazing entrepreneur that leads not only by example, but leads by their intuition, that leads by their gut, that leads by knowledge, that leads and inspires not just themselves, but the people that they bring to work with them, and more importantly, the world around them, by delivering the quality of products and services that the world around them so badly wants and so badly desires.
Absolutely. And something that I heard within all of that is that the way the world is right now, there is so much fear mongering. There's so much focus on the fears. There's so much focus on the problems. And that is what most people are expecting to find everywhere they go, because it is so prevalent. They see it in the news. They see it in the social media. A lot of times they experience it at work. And then they end up experiencing it at home, right? And it's problem after problem after problem. And you as the leader have the ability and have the place to be able to look at them and say, it's not all about fear, that there is hope in the world, that there is a future that can be attained that is positive. And if we work together, we can create good things in the world. We can create more positive experiences. We can solve the problems that are occurring around us. All of these things are possible. And it's not a far out crazy thing. We can accomplish this.
And you can accomplish it now. That's the thing, right? Like, you can do it now. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, we are the creators of our world. And I don't mean like I look over there and I created the tree, right? Like I created the flowers behind me. I don't mean that. I mean, it's how we interact with inside of this existence, right? We have a choice. We can either react negatively to it and woe is me, or we can look at it from a positive side and go, what can I do differently to raise this up? If you go to this other side, it raises it down. It's a matter of our perception and how we view it from inside of our heart, inside of our minds. And we're the only person that has control of how we think. Nobody else, check this one out, nobody else in this world has the power to make you feel like crap. Nobody in this world has the power to make you feel worthless. Nobody in this world has the power to make you feel like you don't exist. Because the truth of the matter is that only from within inside our own mind, we can only read our own mind, no one else can. Only we can decide how we want to view ourselves. You know, my whole life, I grew up with a lot of tremendous crap. I mean, we could spend eons here talking about the level of crap I've gone through. But I've had to deal with a lot in my own lifetime, from, like I said, from extreme poverty, physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, discriminated, being fired because I was gay multiple times, you know, being spat on, being beat up, being, you name it, all of that stuff that under normal circumstances, I could go shit my mind and go, woe is me, crap on me, like I'm not worthy, I'm not worth it, like my life's terrible, let me go do drugs, let me go do this, let me tune out all of this bullshit, right?
Absolutely.
Instead, I've always focused on the opposite side of it. What am I supposed to do differently here, right? I've been discriminated against, so I know what it is like to judge someone else. That's why you come into a judge-free experience. I know what it's like to come from no resources or very limited resources, which is why I offer courses on how to start a business with almost no resources. And you already may have some resources and you got to take it to the next level. So let's put some systems in place that doesn't require resources other than time to get you to your six-figure company. Because I experienced all of that, because at the end of the day, it was me. It was me who had to look at that and go, what is the positive side of this? What do I need to do? And honestly, every single time I look, everywhere I look, I always ask myself, what is the positive in this experience? What is beyond? What is above our tired old story? What is beyond our experiences that we experienced here in the past? If we spend back here, this looks like funny, if we spend back here, like nothing comes of it. You can't change the past. Therefore, you can only change what's inside of your mind today. And all it simply starts with is this. Today, I make the wish that I'm going to have an amazing day. Because this is what I know to be true. When we make a wish, whether it's a goal for business or a personal wish for yourself, when we make a wish, what happens is that our mind hears it. The universe, whatever your universe is, for some of us it's God, it's Jesus, it's Buddhas, it's whatever your belief system is, it's tuning in. And it's hearing you're making the wish. And by the way, you make wishes like every second. So it hears every little wish. And so what happens is if you make the intention of verbally and focusing on it and saying, today is going to be an amazing day, the universe hears this. Your wish is created. And what happens is the intention that goes from here, out of your mouth comes the speech that directs you towards your amazing day. So when people say, you cut me off, you bastard, you look at them and you're like, have a good day, right? It's all about, because your mouth is moving in the direction. But then here's something more amazing. The body, your language, your body language follows pursuit of the happiness that you wished for, of the amazing day. And so now you're not moved to strike if someone does something to you. Now you're not moved to like cut someone off because they cut you off. Why? Because you made the intention that you were going to have an amazing day. And that's what's key, because the moment we make this wish, the rest is, it all opens up to us.
Absolutely. And within all of that, even if you don't want to think of it from a how am I trying to think of this? Like the universe is putting this into you, right? Even within just the framework of the brain is like a Google search engine.
Mm-hmm.
It will find whatever you tell it to find. That's why when you decide to buy a new car, all of a sudden you will see that car everywhere. It's not because everyone decided to buy the same car as you, right? Like, as much as you wish to be that kind of an influencer, likelihood is you're not, right? All that's happened is that the focus of what your mind's looking for is now finding that car more often. And you can do that with anything. So if you tell your brain, I'm looking for only bad things, it will begin to say, oh, I'm looking for bad things. Okay, here's one bad thing. Here's another bad thing. Here's why this sucks. Here's why that's terrible. And it'll keep going. And in the other respect, you can tell your brain, no, I don't want you to search for anything negative. I want you to only find positives. And it goes, oh, I'm going to look for positive things. This is what's nice here. Oh, look, that's really pretty over there. Oh, hey, I could look at it like that, but you know what? I'm going to try and reframe it and look at it like this, right? Instead of the person who cuts you off and says like, you're the worst person ever. Instead of going like, wow, that guy's such a jerk. You go, oh, that guy might just have to go to the bathroom really bad. I guess just let him go, right? Like, and you look for more reasons to be positive, to allow more good things into your life.
And that's so important, right? That's like so key to. Here's something most interesting. I love it because you're absolutely right. When you're thinking about buying a car and you're like, I'm going to buy me, like in my case, I drive a Prius. That was my dream car, by the way, at the age of 17 when they first came here to the States in 1997. I dreamt about owning my own Prius, and I have since owned 2 of them now. Now 3 of them. That I just bought my other half his own car as well. But I digress. I dreamt about owning one of these cars, and guess what? It came true. That was the reality. But what I wanted to say is that when we start thinking with this positive mindset, and here, let me back up a moment, which is to say that we all have a purpose in this life. We all made an agreement at some point in a prior life or prior something, and we are now here experiencing this moment right now, today, right? We've all done this. And the thing is that if we start to focus on what is our life's purpose. Why are we here? Why did I create this company, JB Financial? Why did Cody become a leader like you are, Cody? Like, we did this because we have a purpose in this life. That's the thing, right? And when we tap into what is that purpose, even if we don't really know what the hell that is, but we keep focusing on that. What is my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? And then if we begin to open up our minds, the brain, as you say, when we begin to open up our brain, our mind, we begin to tune into those subtle cues of the things that we're supposed to be doing. And I'm talking subtle, like very grossly subtle. Case in point, I've talked to several coaches and things of this nature. So the day before, I got a message that I was sitting with one of my financial planners, and we were talking about spirituality and things of that nature. And she brought up that she sees a Buddhist psychologist. And I loved it. Like, I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I'm a practicing Buddhist, so I would love to figure that out, right? And I thought, how do I really make that part of my business structure? Yeah? Yesterday, I was talking to one of my other coaches, and she says to me, you know, if you follow what you were meant to do in this world, and you follow your Buddha nature, essentially, you will become something great. Like, it's part of your company, it's part of you, it's part of who you are. And I heard it twice. And so in a moment, in an instant, I said, holy moly, macaronis and cheese, I need to focus on the spiritual side of my business as it relates to spirituality, but more important, as it relates to the person. Because yes, it's all about the tax law, it's all about bookkeeping, it's all about experts, sales, you name it, it's all about that. But if we strip all of that away, we began to look at who we are as a person inside of here, which is a reflection of the businesses that we've created. Plain and simple.
Absolutely. And that makes me reflect back on my own journey too, because there would have been a point in time where if you told me I was going to be a speaker, I would have laughed at your face and I would have said, that is such crap. That is not what I'm here to do at all. Right? And basically what happened was that people asked me to talk about different things with them, asked me to voice my opinions on different things. And when I did this, sometimes not wanting to, but doing it just because I wanted to be a good friend, what I discovered over time was people wanted to hear it. They wanted more of it. They were impacted by it. They were telling me how they were impacted by it. And it started to become like, there might be something more to this than I thought there was. And so I kept going and kept going. And now I've made it my career.
And sometimes we get thrusted into our calling without us realizing that that's where we're going, right? Like I myself, like, of course, I have this company that I love, my JB Financial. We do, again, tax planning, tax strategies, you name it. But I really, really love bringing the mystery of taxation and uncovering it for people on stage. I love helping to uncover legal loopholes and doing it from stage. I love helping to show them the missed opportunities from stage. And it started, well, a long time ago, but one particular story that I remember closely in my mind, and I'll give it in a nutshell because it's a long story, but the dealio is I was selected of the top 2 students for each high school was allowed to be selected to attend here in Arizona called Arizona Boys State. So this is 1997 and I was selected. So I get on the bus and there's just testosterone galore, like just testosterone galore, right? And my feminine energy is like, but I digress. So and then of course they're all joking with each other and they're calling themselves names and, you know, faggot, queer, things of this nature. The things that would sting every time that people would say these words. Like it would hurt. It would sting because it meant that I was worth less, right? I was less than. So after a week, they started debating about gay politicians and things like this, and we should go to hell, and I don't know what else, and craziness. And I ended up writing back articles in the newspaper, like an opinion paper, back counteracting what these other people were saying. So finally, at the very end, they had an open mic session where you could get up there and you could just say whatever the hell you wanted to. And of course, the students were like, you know, all faggots are going to hell and they shouldn't be running for office and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I will never forget, I was at the very back of this auditorium. There were over 600 boys in this auditorium. And I remember standing up and I walked with confidence all the way down. Talk about the courage it would take me to walk down the aisle, going up to the stage. And I just remember the bright lights shining down on me. I remember looking over and seeing the sea of kids in front of me, my own peers. And I grabbed the microphone and without thinking, I said, I'm Jonathan Bengal. I am that queer. I am that faggot. I am that gay guy you talk about. I am him. And I put the microphone down and I left stage. The crowd went crazy. You heard the gasp at the front of the auditorium, and like an ocean wave, you heard it go all the way to the back. Like there was just just mortification. And when I got off stage, I had mixed messages, mostly praise. You're so courageous. You're so brave. Like nobody in the world could do this. Da, 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 da. Unfortunately, at that time, I did not know the level of courage that I possessed. And it turns out that I still possess that courage. So with that, I will leave it to you that sometimes we just get thrusted into the world of being a leader because the universe, because our destiny has already said this is what we're supposed to be. And again, we reflect here on the mind, we control this, and we let others not to control us, but instead we decide how we are going to react.
Absolutely. And I just, my heart goes out to you because I'm a Christian myself. And I know that a lot of the people that were there that day probably were Christians too, based on the wording you're using. And that is terrible, in my opinion, that they were subjugating you like that they were attacking you in such a way. Even if they didn't know you were gay, even they are attacking somebody. And to me, that's not the Christian way.
And that's
like,
why that's why I had to be the representative. That's why I had to get up. And, you know, it's funny because about 10 years later, a guy that had attended, a boy that attended with me, he had actually sent me a message. He gotten a hold of me. And he had said, you know, I felt so belittled. I felt so like worthless. I felt like they were going to kill me. And here you were on stage telling the world that you were that person and you gave me hope. And that's what great leaders do, isn't it? They provide hope. They give hope. They give a sense of belief. And as a result, all of these things that I've experienced, the goodness of it all, the goodness of that, because the truth is that they needed to do that for me to tap into my true nature. It's as simple as that. I can't hate them. I can't think they're less than me. That's what they were doing to me. So the only thing I can do is say thank you in a fucked up kind of way. But I had to say thank you to them for essentially doing what they did, because this memory will always stay with me to continue to remind me that I am courageous. And so if we all were to look back at moments in our own lives, at moments like that where we were terrified or something like that, and reflect on that and look at it as a reminder of what we have become, where we're headed, what is our destiny. And that's the important thing. And when you work with taxes and when you work with entrepreneurship, it is no different. You cannot look at your past of I didn't file my taxes for years. You can't look at your past and go, I never know what my numbers are. You can't look at your past and go, I don't have the money to pay for people. That's behind you. Instead, we look at that and go, what is the lesson that we can learn? How do we gain inspiration from this so that we can move forward, so that we can be our true selves for who we really are? So I said this, I do have a system that I work with my clients. I provide coaching sessions, multiple coaching, and I also provide one-on-one coaching services as well for my clients. Because at the end of the day, it's more about business ownership. It is about being the leader that you really are.
And that is a powerful, powerful thing you were going into there. Just one more time for me. Can you go through what that was? Just so we can have it 100% clean.
I wish. Except the fact is that when I talk, it is because this is what's being transmitted for the world to hear. This is the truth. I don't script anything. In fact, I have a hard time scripting things. I truly speak from my heart, and I truly speak from the place of inspiration. And honestly, whoever's listening to this, whenever they listen to this, if they're doing it now or later, it is because it is meant for them. I also want to mention that the panel that the viewers should have received a free gift. It is, I believe it's proven tax strategies that you can use today to reduce your taxes, which is a free gift to you guys. But I even have one more really amazing gift, and I don't know if it's time for that, but I'm going there anyways.
Go for it.
And here's what it is. Normally, I sell what I'm about to share with you guys for, the value is $1,997. And I'm giving that away today free to your VIP members. So if they sign up now or whenever, however you have it structured, but whoever your VIP members are, I am providing for free an internal audit to help to identify ways in which we can free up cash that's already been locked away. That's going to be the revealing the missed opportunities. And we're also going to run a tax analysis to determine if there's money to be saved in the future. So that is what I'm going to offer for free to your VIP clients, the ones that are signing up VIP. I normally charge $19.97 for it, and honestly today I'm not charging a single thing for that. It's my free gift to your listeners.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Jonathan. That's really powerful and absolutely amazing. I just have one more question for you before we wrap everything up. If you had to leave one thing with everyone who's listening, what would that one thing be that you'd want them to be left with?
The one thing that you should know right now, if you're listening, and there's one takeaway, it is this. We can only do so much by ourselves. At the end of the day, we can only do so much. There's only 24 hours in a day. What would you rather do with that time? Would you rather be drinking martinis on the beach with me and Cody? Would you rather be drinking, vodka tonic on the beach with your loved one? Would you rather be spending it with your family and watching your children grow up? If those are your wishes, those are your desires, then you should invest in someone like myself, at Jonathan Bengal here at JB Financial. Website www.jbfinancialllc.com. You can also call us at 602-502 lies, all lies, 602-456-7667 and book an appointment with us, because we can help you to achieve those dreams faster and quicker, and we do it by utilizing and unlocking the mystery of taxation, uncovering legal loopholes, and revealing missed opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan. We went all over the place, and we went into some places that were they had nothing to do with taxes, but were extremely important for leaders. And that is so powerful.
And here's the truth. What you just witnessed with me, when my clients come to work with me, that's what they get. So we do get to talk about taxes. We do get to talk about financials, but we also talk about our lives, because let's be real, they're all intertwined.
Absolutely. And that is the end of this session of the Legendary Leadership Summit. It's been another phenomenal session here.